What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and in this video we're going to be working on the MR2 back there. It is finally time to reassemble the old girl. She has been apart for several months. Just to catch you up to date on what happened on this car and what this car is for you guys who probably don't remember. It is a 91 MR2 Turbo 5-speed. I restored the entire car, had the whole thing repainted, and redid all the suspension, cleaned up the interior, didn't do anything custom in there to speak of hardly. Just made the whole thing super nice on the outside, new bushings, new coilovers, all that stuff. And then I did a shave and tuck on the engine bay and made the engine bay just basically like a show car, so to speak, in terms of being all cleaned out and everything. And the main reason I did that is because I wanted the car to be as easy to work on as possible, and that definitely paid off. It is very easy to work on. You can take the whole turbo and manifold and downpipe off in like probably 30 minutes on this car. It's just so easy and good to work on. But also I was always fascinated with shaved engine bays and all the stuff that people used to do back on, what was it, Honda Tech and all these other websites I used to look at where people would do that back in the days of the forums. And of course the forums are dead now. Everybody uses Facebook and Instagram and so forth. So that's where you see that kind of stuff now. But anyway, when this car came around, it was time to finally have an opportunity to do one myself. So shaved and tucked, got rid of everything in there. In fact, let me just lift up the engine lid and show you what it looks like. Of course, the engine's not in it right now, but you can at least see what I did. So let me flip the camera around and we'll talk about that. Okay, so I took the shave and tuck to such an extent that I don't even have a popper or cable or mechanism or, cable or latch in the car anymore. I took out that whole system, and currently I don't even have a hood prop rod, unfortunately. I do want one of those, but I don't know if this car ever came with one. It seems like I've never had one the entire time I've had this car, or I lost it. But I'm the kind of person that doesn't lose anything, and I hate losing things, so I don't think I lost it. I think this car just never had one. So that is a long story to explain this little loop right here. So this is how I open the lid. And also, if you wonder, this thing never flies open at speed. I've driven it up over 100 miles an hour or up around 100. It doesn't open or fly open or anything, so haven't had any problems with that. But anyway, so this loop here is literally so I can open this thing up. And it's just attached right here with a screw to the factory spot. And this is just a nylon strap I had laying around, came off something, I don't know. I keep stuff like that around just in case I want to make stuff out of it. So that day I needed that and had it and made that. So here's the bottom side of the engine lid. I cleaned this, and I don't think I even painted it. I think I just cleaned it and it was in good shape. Yeah, factory stuff here. All the original stickers and decals are in it. But then here's the engine bay. Of course, it's not as impressive now because the engine's not in it, so you can't get the full effect, but just to show you what she looks like and what we're working with here. Everything in here was repainted by me. It was all sanded down. A whole bunch of holes were welded closed and filled. And then the entire gas tank is gone, the filler neck, and the entire filler neck all the way out to that round hole, which is where you would normally put gas in, or where the filler neck goes out. Obviously all that's been removed. And now I have a fuel cell down here in the trunk. I have a 10-gallon fuel cell in there. Yeah, lots of sanding, welding, shaving, and relocating of things. There used to be a giant fuse box back here that mounted basically right here, and that's all been relocated into the trunk as well. That's where the latch assembly would have been, and that's gone. A bunch of other stuff I relocated, like the ABS sensor wires. They now run through the trunk and out to the wheel well instead of through here into the wheel well. Probably a bunch of stuff I've forgotten too, honestly, but I had to have custom water lines. So these two hoses right here are custom silicone heater hoses. They're not heater hose from like O'Reilly's. They're silicone heater hose, which I buy from a place called PegasusAutoRacing.com, and they supply race car parts for race car builders, and they have that silicone line and all the clamps to make it work. So that was necessary to get the look I wanted. And of course I got a side mount intercooler over there with a nice fan on it. And the best part about it all is I've got the air conditioning in this car still, and it works. And it's got actually an entirely new AC system. I replaced every single component of the AC system last year and got it all charged up and working pretty darn good. So there's that. Really nice to have a project car that actually has AC. I've probably never had that before. Let me pop the trunk if I can. Should be able to just use the key here and show you the fuel cell setup in this old girl. Okay. Looks like I got a lawn chair in there left over from last year's car show season. So here's the trunk, and the 10-gallon fuel cell is right here, and that line there is just a vent for vapors to come out of the tank. And then here's where the ECU mounts, and the factory fuse box mounts right here on this custom bracket that I built. Also built these brackets here, you know. And then here's the ECU. This is an ECU Master. ECU Master Classic. Yeah, there we go. EMU Classic, they call it. And I got all that from ATS Racing with their base map on it, and the car runs really good. This stuff here could fit a little bit better. I just need to take some time to make a couple more trims around here and dial that in, but honestly, I'm just almost never back here. I almost never do anything in here, so I kind of forget that it needs a little more attention. But yeah, that's how the trunk looks, and the fuse box. Oh, also the fuel pump and everything is now relocated underneath the car, so it's literally underneath here. I guess we can climb down there and look at that. So mounted up underneath to the floor pan is the whole fuel system, really. So let's see if I can remember how it goes. This is the fuel pump here, and that's like a Walbro 3 something, like a 340 or something like that. And then there is a pre-filter and a post-filter. So this is the, let's see, the fuel lines come out and around. I'm trying to remember the orientation, how everything goes. Okay, so it goes from the tank right over here to the pre-filter, and it comes into the pump, and then it goes to the post-filter, and then it goes up to the fuel rail. So that's how I've done my fuel system, and it works really well. And what else is there to look at down here? Not too much else to look at down there at the moment. Oh yeah. So what we're working on now is this guy over here. So this car, I swapped it for a Gen 4 3S GTE. I don't think I mentioned that earlier, but it had a Gen 2 3S GTE, which is the original turbo engine. And it was just really old, and I didn't like the engine bay. It was too hard to work on. Everything was crusty and ancient. So I just pulled the trigger on a Gen 4 swap off eBay and had this shipped to me and did the whole swap and got it all running with a conversion wiring harness and did the intercooler piping and everything. And I've driven it like that for several years now and enjoyed it. It's actually an incredibly enjoyable car to drive. It makes, bar none, the absolute best turbo noises of any car I've ever been in. It makes the classic kind of sound. Which is so fun to drive in. I was really surprised how much of a difference that makes in just the enjoyment of driving the thing. Whenever every time you get on the gas, you get this awesome sound effect going on. So everything was good until last year. It was time to get off the ATS base map, and it was time to get it tuned. And this is no hate to ATS, so don't take this the wrong way, but I called ATS and scheduled a remote tune to get the car street tuned with me. And so I had them dialed in on the laptop remotely via my phone's cell phone connection. And the laptop is in the car, and I'm driving, and we go out on the highway, and I think it was Scott. I think Scott's the tuner. He said, okay, let's do a third gear pull. Just take it down to the lowest speed as you can in third gear and then go full throttle and accelerate to the highest speed that you're comfortable with out on the highway. And I said, okay, let's do that. So I dropped it down to third and got the RPM nice and low, probably, I don't remember, 3,000 RPM, maybe even a little lower. And I just floored it out there on the highway. And I've driven the car a lot on the base map, no problems. But I was running 17 PSI at the time, which is my fault. I chose that, and the car ran great. So I thought, well, I guess it works. Well, it worked until it didn't. So during our remote tune session, the engine blew up right there on that third gear pull. And I just saw behind me all kinds of smoke coming out of the car, and it was coolant just burning off the engine and everything is what it was. So I limped it home, and I knew what had happened already. I knew I'd hurt a piston, broke ring lands or whatever. So it sucked, but I went ahead and tore it all out, and tore down, and got the head off, and took a look at one of the pistons, and sure enough, I had basically blowtorched the edge off of a piston, and all the cylinder pressure had pushed down into the oil pan, and then blasted oil back up out of somewhere. I don't remember now how it happened, out the PCV valve or something. but there ended up being oil all over the engine bay. I had to wash it down and degrease it and clean all the oil off, and it was just a mess. The piston was toast, and for some reason I thought I could just get another piston and put it in there and another rod, and so I bought a couple used ones. And by the time I got it all torn down, I realized that the bearings were toast because it had blowtorched enough piston material off and put it all down in the oil that went through the oil and went through all the bearings. And so all the bearings had aluminum deposits on them and were trashed. So at that point, it was just rebuild time. There's nothing else you can really do. So I got with a local machine shop here. His name's Alan Garrison. And he had just rebuilt my brother Tony's Miata that we turbocharged that lost a rod bearing, or might have been a main bearing, but I think it was a rod bearing it lost and started knocking. So he had just done Tony's Miata and did a really good job. So obviously I took this to him and had him go through it. And we upgraded it with forged rods and pistons, and had him bore it out 0.5 millimeter just to make sure the bores were true. So basically a stock rebuild except for good rods and pistons. And so he got that done real quick. And now it's back. And so now it's just time for me to reassemble the engine and put it in the car. And so that's pretty much what this video is supposed to be about. I don't know how far we'll get into that process because we're already at 12 minutes of just rambling. So I'll do what I can do, but maybe this video will be good enough just to kind of catch you guys up to date on the whole project and talk to you about where we're at with it. But let's see what else we got for it. So that's the engine. I'll just show you what else we got. The transmission's over here. This is the stock E153 transmission. These are actually rare now and expensive. Everybody wants them. They're hard to get. But this is the original one to the car, and it has always worked pretty well. New timing belt here. We got a new tensioner. We got some new cam seals, coolant, tree, or oil cooler seal. There's the new cam seals. Those are the old ones. And then over here, we've got a turbo for it. Ha, just kidding. That is absolutely not a turbo for a 4-cylinder. That guy used to be on my LS car over there. That used to be on my 5.3 and will be again someday. But anyway, we've got all the intercooler piping for the car down here and some of the exhaust. That's pretty much all the exhaust right now. And then here's the turbo system. This is the stock manifold with an aftermarket downpipe. And this is the stock CT15 turbo, which I sent down to ATS and had them rebuild it and upgrade it. So it's now what they call their Sweet 16 turbo. And then I put on a Kunigawa billet wastegate actuator, which is super sick because you can just, it's an internal wastegate, but you can open it up and put different springs in it, which is so good. So obviously I have too much spring in it because 17 PSI just popped my engine. So that is not good. So I've got to take a little bit of spring out of that and then have the car tuned now once I get it all back together. So anyway, that is where we are on the project. So it really should be pretty fast at this point. It's just putting everything back together. I shouldn't be doing any fabrication. I shouldn't be having to make any choices or decisions. A lot of times that stuff's what makes a project take forever. And this is just a reassembly job. The car was running and complete and perfect, so all I'm doing is putting it all back together the way it was, but better internally. So should be pretty fast, and we should be ripping again very, very soon. But okay, I think I'm just going to pause the video right there and then decide if I want to make this video longer or not. Actually, I'm just going to make the decision. I'm going to stop right there. We're already at almost 15 minutes, and it takes me forever to upload these videos when they get very long. So, and I just think people don't want to watch an epic, like hour-long video. Maybe they do, actually. Maybe you guys do. Let me know. But usually I do shorter form videos. Well, I guess short form videos these days means like 30 seconds to 3 minutes. But on YouTube, I usually do shorter form videos around 12 minutes or less because it makes the editing easier for me and the uploading faster. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys want. You want longer videos? You care? Does it matter to you? Just let me know. But I think I'm just going to go ahead and kill this one here. This will just be up dating everybody on what I'm doing, where I'm at, where the car's been, and where I want to go with it. Well, I guess where I want to go with it, I haven't talked about. I just want it back together, and I want it to work, and I want it to run like 15 PSI maybe at the most on pump gas. And then I have everything set up on the car for E85, if I remember right. I think I have the sensor in there. Yes, I have E85, the sensor in there. So I don't know if I have enough injectors. It's got 800cc injectors. But in the future, it'd be nice to have a flex fuel tune is what I'm getting at, so that I could run 91 octane normally and then E85 when I can get it, which is, it's about 20 minutes away from me to get E85, so I can do it sometimes. And it would be fun because then I could run on this turbo probably I think from my research and talking to ATS, I think I could run low 20 psi on this car with this turbo and still be in the efficiency of it. And at that point, the car would be making, I don't know, 325, 350 horsepower, I would think. Because you can actually make 300 horsepower on this car with a stock turbo. I've seen people do. So with the upgraded turbo and E85, I don't know, maybe I make 350, 360. But that would be like long-term plans. But right now the plan is just to get it all back together and enjoy it this season. Put some miles on it, enjoy that air conditioning, enjoy that sweet turbo sounds. So I think that's going to be it, guys. Appreciate you watching. Let me know your thoughts on this. And stay tuned for more content on that. Excuse me. And then the next project after that is going to be the old 240 back there. And I have a T56 now for the 240SX. So this transmission right here, yeah, it's hard to point in backwards. T56 there, and I've got a good twin disc clutch. I picked up a really good deal on a used one that was in really, really good shape. So I've got a clutch and a trans, so all that can start going in the 240 next. But if you're interested in that, or the MR2, or this girl right here, she hasn't been in any videos for a while. Well, I talked about her in the last video. Check out the last video if you want to know more about the situation on the 300ZX. That project is in total limbo. It could go one of 100 different ways. Well, realistically, it could go one of about 3 ways. Either I sell it as is, or I put it all back together as a twin turbo automatic like it is, or I put it all back together as a 5-speed twin turbo, or I put it all back together as a K24 powered manual transmission engine swap car. And I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but anyway, I talk a lot about that in the last video. But if you're into this stuff and you like what's going on here and you want to stay in touch with what I'm doing, just subscribe to the channel. Also, leave me a comment down below so I know if somebody's watching. If you have any questions, I always answer everybody down there. Appreciate it, guys, and I will see you on the next one.